Backstab / your horror movie podcast.
All right, you fellas ready?
Let's get into it, boys.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Backstab / This week on the podcast, we're doing a 1985 film called Silver Bullet. Before we get into it, why don't you hop on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck it's called, Threads, TikTok, you name it, we're probably there. Come hang out with us, follow along, and enjoy the ride. But this movie, this 1985 classic, is a wheelchair-bound boy must face a bloodthirsty werewolf while he's terrorizing his small town. Guys, you want to tell me a little bit about this and how we let the audience pick this movie this time?
We got a fan pick. Pretty awesome. And how we did it, we asked people to suggest all different kinds of werewolf movies. We had tons of suggestions. We wrote them down. We put them in a nice postal safari carrier hat. And we had friend of the pod, Roger, pick it out.
Shout out, Roger. What's going on?
Shout out, Roger. What's up? We picked Silver Bullet. Shout out to the two people that I wish I had their names here. Two different people wrote Silver Bullet. So thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
Have you guys both seen this movie before?
This was my first time.
Just honestly. What?
Yeah, so let's talk about that real fast too. Like, obviously, I even suggested Werewolf Month. I love werewolves so much, and I've watched so much werewolf movies, like obscure ones, and for whatever reason, I never watched Silver Bullet, which is bizarre because anyone knows 80s horror movies are my favorite things ever, and I love werewolves, and this was my first ever watch. So I'm coming fresh off it, first time.
Which blows my mind because if you take out the scare me senseless creature feature factor, this is gotta be a top 5 werewolf movie. In my personal opinion. I don't know about you guys.
I will say the same thing after the ones that we've watched, coming from that year and the effects that they used and the length that they went through to get this movie done and how fast they got this movie done. Incredible.
Dude, the early 80s and mid 80s of the werewolf movies just knocked it out of the park. Like, I love the Howling series, like American Werewolf in London. I mean, do we even need to say anything about that? Let's talk about Silver Bullet, like Sean said, 1985. And let's just burn a fun fact right away. I'm sure most everyone knows that this was based on the 1983 book by Stephen King called The Cycle of the Werewolf. And Stephen King even wrote the screenplay for this and is directed by Daniel Attias. And we start off with a full moon, and it says, Spring 1976, our town's long nightmare began that night. And we right away see a rail. This is a great start. Rail world.
Sorry, bro. When I was proofreading my notes, I fuck up Reverend.
I did
so much.
Must be so much. Our words. I just said the real world. Railroad.
Morning Star. Coming in through the back door! Oh no! Oh no! Grab the children! Save the children!
5, 4.
Have a great broadcast.
You too, darling.
Worker. He's out there. He's singing to himself. He's working on the tracks. He's having a great time. And we see a giant footprint right away. And then all of a sudden we get a werewolf POV scene. And we see someone is watching him. And this guy's just minding his own business working. And he looks up and he gets his head decapitated. We're 2 minutes into this movie, and he gets his head smashed right off by a werewolf. Like, it hooked me.
He's
right
so
away.
nonchalant about it too. He's just like, shit.
Wow.
Doesn't scream. Doesn't try to run away.
Lays don't have to work on this damn.
This.
They said don't have to work on this railroad no more.
Like I said, this is my first time watch, so already seeing we got a decapitation where the werewolf just he smacked this dude's head off. It looked like it was like a home run. I loved it right away, and we have we got an incredible howl right now, and it's heard through the town. And then they explain the next day how it's a town drunk. There was no proof. They thought it all was just an accident at first. And we meet the town, Tucker's Mill, and we hear this movie narrated by a woman who we find out is Jane Coleslaw. That can't be a right. Did I say
Colson?
What's
coleslaw? I call it coleslaw.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense since they eat so much barbecue in this movie.
I literally wrote coleslaw. Who even says that? Anyway, we don't need any last names. It's narrated by Jane, who we find out is Marty's older brother. And we see Marty and his friend playing around. And we have a little snake scare scene. We see Marty is in a wheelchair. We got a little bit of family dynamic. Jane and Marty are a little upset at each other, and Jane is very upset because Marty always gets away with everything. We see Marty's a really good guy. He pays off Jane later. He pays her money to make up. And the next day he's talking to her and he said, "Hey, is Uncle Red still coming?" And she's like, "I don't know. Like, he's getting his like third divorce and he's a drunk." So we got a little foreshadowing of how Uncle Red's gonna be. And then right away we cut to a storm and we see a girl taking pills and she says, "Suicides go to hell, especially when they're pregnant, but I don't care."
I don't even care.
But I don't even care. And right then, once again, we see a werewolf point of view stalking her through the window, and this werewolf smashes through the window. We already see the full werewolf right away, and this thing throws her against the wall. It is slashing her back, scratching her up. Her mom's downstairs, runs up, and by the time she finds her, she is all hacked, just torn apart by this werewolf. So
now, Justin, she could have saved her daughter's life. She really could have, had she not stopped and admire the chandelier that was swinging back and forth on the ceiling.
Right? Like maybe just, I don't know, run up there.
Could have saved your daughter.
I mean, she could have got there a lot faster, like you said. And then we see a town scene where we start seeing tensions arising. There's a police officer in there. The town people are arguing in a bar. And then we see Marty the next morning fly in on his wheelchair. This is how little I knew about this movie. So I literally thought Silver Bullet was just because obviously silver bullets kill werewolves. But when Marty flies in on his like wheelchair that's got like an engine on it, you hear someone say, "Here's Mad Marty and the Silver Bullet." His wheelchair is the Silver Bullet. I'm sure you guys already knew this, and anyone who knows anything about this movie is like,
there's a giant sign on the back of the wheelchair.
On the back that says Silver Bullet. So
that wheelchair is so fucking awesome.
But I never knew that going into this. So I was like, oh my God, I did not know his motorized wheelchair was called the Silver Bullet. Incredible. Anyway, we meet Tammy, one of his friends, and he's walking her home. They see the cops at the werewolf murder house that he just took out that girl. We get to Tammy's house. She kisses him on his cheek, and then she tells him, "I've been hearing a lot of scary sounds from that greenhouse over there." But then they're rudely interrupted by her dad, who starts screaming, "Get out of here, get in here, Tammy." And then you hear him mutter, "You damn crippled, always on wheelchair." And I'm pretty sure he says, "I'd electrocute them all if I had a chance."
I actually have that quote written down. He goes,
"What?"
He goes, "Damn cripples always end up on welfare. I'd electrocute them all and balance the goddamn budget."
So bad.
Could not even believe that dialogue. That was absolutely insane. And then
it was,
right away,
it was the 80s.
The 80s. Oh, some of the dialogue is crazy. And then the next scene, it cuts right to Uncle Red. Gary Busey's first appearance is absolutely incredible. He is playing with Marty. He is playing poker, like raising him, swearing, and he's just drinking a bottle of Wild Turkey.
Dude, he looks like he's gonna fucking snap because Marty's like, "I'll raise you this card." And he's like, "Can't do managers. We said no managers. Watch put down a manager. Take the manager back."
Yeah, he's arguing with this little kid about poker as he's just swigging just out of a Wild Turkey bottle. But he does seem like he has a good relationship with Marty, and Marty goes to bed, and Marty's mom and him have a few words and everything. But you know what? He seems like he have a good relationship with him. Then we cut back to Tammy's house, and we see this dad. Her dad is freaking hammered now, and I love it. He's watching NWA wrestling, like screaming. Oh my God, it was so
that
good.
Does not stand for National Wrestling Association, and we all know that.
So good, so good. He's watching this wrestling, screaming, and he hears something. He's like, "Oh, that's it. You're out here now." He grabs a shotgun. He starts walking into the greenhouse, and he is walking around. And I do have to mention there was a cheap little jump scare that actually did scare me because I hate spiders. He sees a spider. And
I saw that.
Crazy jump scares, and I actually
immediately.
Yeah, no, I don't know if anyone else flinched, but I almost had a panic attack. And you see him walking up the stairs, and we see the eyes of the werewolf underneath the stairs. And as he's moving, all of a sudden, everything is shaking. The whole entire building is shaking. And through the freaking floorboards, the werewolf jumps up and rips him and pulls him under the floorboards. And then, never mind, he's impaled by a board on the way down. So he's impaled, and then he just gets absolutely shredded. Oh, so good. And then all of a sudden, we cut to the next town. We now see there is a curfew in town, and the killer on the loose is in all the front pages of the paper. And then we cut to Brady and Marty, and they're flying a kite. They're having a good old time, and Jane comes to get Marty. And Brady says, you know what? I'm going to stay behind. And Marty's like, "Are you sure?" we get a little weird, I don't know, maybe foreshadowing. Marty's kind of just staring at Brady a little awkwardly as he
That
leaves.
was one of those like overextended, like flying a kite. Let's make sure our main character looks back at his best friend for an extended period of time so you know he's going to get it.
Oh, right away. As soon as I saw the scene, I was just like, oh no, they're not going to kill a kid, like, are they? But like Sean said, like Marty just stares back at him with the 80s music going in the background, and he's just sitting there flying his kite. And I'm like, ah, shit, that's not good, man. That is not good. And right away, we see the town. Tempers are just flaring now. We're back at a bar. They're a cop and one of the residents is screaming at each other, and they're actually gonna go. We're gonna have a good old Donnybrook going on here. And then a man storms in. Have you seen my son? Oh man, this next scene, we see cruiser flying to the park, and there's already a cop there, and we see the cop praying with a bloody kite. And obviously Brady is dead. His dad sees him, and the next day they're at the funeral, and we see the Reverend. He says this quote. He's talking, saying, "The face of the beast will always be known, and the time of the beast will always pass." And they leave the funeral. Uncle Red drives Marty home. Marty's asking, what if it's a monster, like, a werewolf? And Uncle Red assures him there is no such thing as werewolves. There is no such thing as monsters. It is just a psychopath.
All right, so this opening set of scenes gives me like such a fucking nostalgia hit. I kind of like vaguely remember every movie that scared the shit out of me started out with like a narrator and an overshot of the town. This movie so far has just beautiful camera work. The kills and the way the wolf takes off like Arnie's head in the beginning, the way he mauls the girlfriend, the greenhouse kill, everything's just very creative with practical effects, and the camera work so you don't actually see the kill or the ripping apart, which probably saved them a lot of money in the budget, but it's a great and effective way to like scare the shit out of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about, like the one-liners are just everywhere. I have a few of them written down if you guys don't mind. It's
Take it away.
I hate you, you booger.
That was pretty funny too.
It's your oven, but it ain't my bun you got bacon. Remember the good times, babe.
Outrageous.
This investigation has been as effective as a submarine with screen doors. Now you boys can turn down your thermostats and get the hell out of here. Now who's drinking? Good. And then we mentioned the cripple one earlier.
Yep.
But Uncle Red just being a drunk and acting like a toddler whenever Marty's mom puts him in his place for acting like a fool is just Gary Busey to a whole nother level. Like you said, Justin, and I love the way you delivered it when you were giving you scene by scene, the headlines in the newspapers and like the town's disbelief that the police just can't do anything about these killings, and the locals starting their own version of, what do they call it? Small town justice. Now, guys, we know that shit's never a good idea. And when the wolf takes out Brady, it shows that the film is not afraid to kill a kid. And we see that the sheriff is like starting to lose grip with either reality or just his touch with being in control, as like we seen him grab the kite and walk back to the cruiser. And was he saying Hail Marys?
Yeah, he was saying Hail Mary. He was praying.
Yeah. Guys, this is just the beginning of this town starting to spiral out of fucking control, and I love it. And Waterboy, how we doing? How we doing up there?
There's a lot of lights. It was insane. No, but seriously, for the year that this came out, all the effects, and like you said, the camera work, it just worked beautifully together. And just being able to see the wolf and what they could do with that, and the kills and the blood. I mean, you could tell the studio didn't try to take away shit out of this movie like they do nowadays for like literally everything. And I love that for the classic effect, and they did it perfect.
I was kind of second what you said, like the nostalgia hit. Like, so I never even seen this movie, but like you said, I just like the 80s feels of the movie. Like I get way too excited. I love it. Like inject that into my veins. The whole feel of it. And at the same time, like you said, like they showed like they killed a kid too. And like that's terrible, but I'm like, oh shit, like this is actually kind of scary too. Like for the time, 1985, like it had ridiculous 80s feels, but it actually, like the story was like actually sucked me in like right away. Like really good. Gary Busey was absolutely ridiculous. I was so excited after this first like 30 minutes to see where this movie goes. And that's all I got.
Justin, it's not a fun fact, but it's something that I saw and I wanted to look up.
Yep.
The station wagon that they drive in this movie, does that station wagon look familiar to you?
Wait, it's not Michael Myers didn't drive it, did he?
It's so close, bro. This one in this movie, and it's one of my fun
Griswold?
facts because they got it wrong. Is this is the summer in 1976, but what they're driving is a 1978 Ford LTD station wagon. What Michael Myers drives is a 1979 Ford LTD station wagon. They're just two different trims. So if you look at them side by side, they look completely different. But first glance, I was like, no fucking way, that's the same car Michael Myers drives.
That would have been badass. That would have been the best Halloween tie-in ever. Damn it!
All right, ladies and gents,
take it away.
Red and Marty pull up to the house while Red is laughing off the idea that the killer is actually a werewolf. The town is now in full chaos as the locals draw up plans to go hunting and they clash with the sheriffs. Bert's breakdown about how his son was torn to pieces is absolutely heartbreaking and gut-wrenching all at the same time. Now the cops can't stop them, and a local reverend can't either. The mob shows up to the forest where they found Brady, and they begin hunting down whatever seems to be killing them off. The town folk start to split up and begin the hunt. To make matters worse, someone steps into a bear trap, and just before they get his foot out, it snaps back again. Fuck, I felt that. The group makes their way further and further into the woods and becomes surrounded by the fog. Now they can hear the beast starting to stalk them. The beast starts taking them out one by one using the fog as cover. The town is now back at the church as we lay 4 more bodies to rest. The Reverend is starting to lose it as the town turns into werewolves. Mayhem ensues, and the Reverend wakes up screaming, realizing it was just a nightmare. Jane, though, she's at her wit's end, with everyone sympathizing with Marty on everything he complains about, and we get an overshot of the town and how vacant it looks as the family heads home. Marty and Red have a conversation now about how messed up everything is, but Red cheers him up by showing him his new and improved silver bullet.
Go.
Let's go. Marty is out cruising now in his new wheelchair, passing traffic and ripping wheelies up and down the road.
Oh my god!
Fucking going like 60 miles an hour.
He's doing he was passing cars.
Yeah, dude. What? I wish I had that fucking wheelchair.
Oh my god!
God.
It's like my scooter I bring to work.
It's 10 times faster. 10 times faster. Yeah, no chance.
Lot
You are not putting pink slips on that race. All right, guys. After some delicious barbecue, Red hooks Marty up with a bag full of fireworks as the end of Summer Carnival has been canceled. Marty now sneaks out of the house. How the fuck his parents did not hear him start up that dirt bike of a wheelchair is beyond me. But he drives out to the middle of nowhere and onto a bridge to light off those fireworks. As he's celebrating the fireworks going off, we see a reflection of the werewolf in the water. Marty begins to stalk Marty. I fucked that all up. The wolf begins to stalk Marty.
There we go.
But before he can make his attack, Marty shoots him in the eye with a bottle rocket. Marty is now doing 100 miles an hour home, racing into his bed, shaken up from what he has just encountered. Marty calls Red in a panic. Red wakes up and he tells Marty he's had a bad dream and there's no such things as werewolves. Marty is also trying to confess to Jane, who actually believes him about the wolf this time. So Jane goes undercover. She's now out collecting cans for the MedQ drive, but secretly looking for any man or woman with a wounded eye. Nothing has come up. No one is showing any signs of anything. And just as she gives up to head back to drop off the cans to the Reverend, she begins complaining about her little brother. He tells her to bring the cans around back to the shed. And as he does that, we see the Reverend has a wounded eye. Jane gets scared while in the back shed, putting the cans away by a rat, and she falls backwards into a pile of cans and stumbles across the peacekeeper. The Reverend now stands over Jane, asking if she's okay and offers to take her home. Jane, in a panic, says no and takes off, clearly shaken up. When she gets home, she tells Marty all about the Reverend. Marty now uses newspaper clippings to write a note to the Reverend that tells him they knew who he is and what he is and that he should go kill himself. Jane drops this note off into a collection can, later to be picked up by Waterboy.
Let's go.
Wait, that collection, bro.
Did you just? Is it Waterboy's trying to break down?
It is.
Yeah, dude. I just ended my scenes with
that?
someone dropping a letter off into a collection.
You like
can.
that, dude?
And picked up. That was oh my god. How are you even gonna follow that? Waterboy did such a Waterboy transitioned to you last week like so smooth. I almost said
I
something.
had to match the energy.
Oh my god. Well played.
That was amazing. I like that a lot.
Hell yeah, boys. How we feeling? Just
right.
Waterboy, why don't you go first? Why don't you tell me all about the fireworks and the lights and sounds and splishy splashy?
That was crazy. The sounds incredible. The lights, those fireworks were awesome. Honestly, it was like you got them from New Hampshire. I do have to say, that scene with the fog and the fight, and the werewolf starts beating the shit out of the guy with the bat.
Just like the slow raising of the bat.
Like, god dang, dude. Doesn't show any freaking mercy. Captain Athano shows no mercy, you know.
He poked me in the eye. Captain Insano shows no mercy.
I can't get over that scene, dude. But and then the firework going straight into his eye, like I was insane. This kid's got some really good accuracy, gotta say.
Either that or it's pure dumb luck because he does it twice.
Yeah, twice. We'll see that later.
I wore the double eye shot. Halloween 2,
let's go.
Just for this movie.
Oh, I didn't see that.
But Justin, let's see. What do you think about this?
You kind of like 3 scenes I want to talk about real fast.
Go.
The fog scene that you talked about. I loved how that looked. Was so incredible. Just being out in like this. Oh my god! That scene was so awesome. And then, like you said, to add to it, the baseball bat race. Slow. Same thing. I mean, I don't even. It was just unbelievable because it was so well shot in the fog. And
the one-liners.
What
was that? The guy's wife that goes, "What are you gonna do? Bake a lemonade in your pants?"
Yeah, like there was stuff funny about it. It actually looked creepy and scary. And then you got over the top baseball bat used by a werewolf. I've never seen that before, so that scene was awesome. And then I was also going to touch on the fireworks scene on the bridge was badass with that shot to the eye, but Waterboy said that. And then I thought you added some nice suspense to this movie too, with Jane looking around in the Reverend's house, because I was like, oh my god, don't get caught, don't get caught, don't get caught. And then when she actually does see him, that dude is just so creepy, and then she sees like the eye patch and everything. Thought that scene was a real good touch too, and that's all I got.
He does everything in his power to try and get her alone and make her trust him. He's like, do you need a hand up? You don't look well. Do you want to go lay down on the couch? I've got some cold soda and candy. No? You want to go home? How about I drive you home?
Oh, yeah.
Like
I've got some cold soda.
Yeah. I got a popsicle in the basement.
Oh, my God.
Justin, I'm a little disappointed in you right now.
Why?
We are 2 full acts into this movie.
Yep.
You have yet to mention the sick POV shots from the wolf.
Oh, so good.
Whoa. I said that in my first scene. I mentioned it.
I
mentioned it 2 times, bro. 2 times.
How did it get by me? How did it get by me?
I literally mentioned it right when I was first super excited about the opening scene. I said werewolf POV. Even have it written down on my notes.
Let's
right over my head.
Back up.
All right, back up. Yeah, sorry, I said it twice.
Reverse.
Maybe just
reverse. 2 hops this time.
Delete those false allegations. Delete those false allegations. And whoever's next, take it away.
All right, Waterboy, take us home.
All right.
All right.
Let's see here. So we got Reverend here now, reading the letter like if it was written from the Riddler, looking like a Bond villain. We got Jane and Marty sending more letters to him. They decided to let Red know what they have been up to. Red doesn't believe him, describing that Marty had shot the rocket in his eye and now he's wearing an eye patch. What do you think we called you out here for? To admire your pretty little face? He helps them out anyway, driving them to the church to spy on the Reverend. Now we switch over to Marty, watching kids play baseball with the camera just zoomed in on their legs. The Reverend pulling in behind in the distance, keeping an eye on him. As he leaves, the Reverend follows close. He speeds up and tries to run Marty off the bridge and take him out, and Marty barely makes it back, speeding away with the Reverend still following close behind in an epic car versus wheelchair scene. Marty makes it into an old Beetlejuice-style bridge. Stuck with nowhere to go, the Reverend enters, describing he doesn't want to harm people and saying he can't kill himself. Stella was going to commit suicide, and if she had done so, she would have gone to hell. And by killing her, she doesn't have to suffer no more.
Saved her eternal life.
Before he could get close, Marty sees Mr. Zimmerman and starts screaming for him. Still not 100% on if it's the Reverend. Red sees that the Reverend's car is blue and sees the blue paint on the silver bullet to prove the story is actually factual. The sheriff goes to check out on the Reverend. In the garage, Joe, the sheriff, notices the dent on his car, proving the story true. Looking around, the Reverend pops up out of nowhere, and Joe, with his gun drawn, asks him to come with him. The Reverend knocks the gun out of his hand, and before his crazy-ass transformation and knocking the sheriff with a bat before bludgeoning him to death. Panning over to Red and Marty, he wants him to turn his necklace into a silver bullet. With the bullet made, Jane and Marty left with Red as the parents go on a trip awaiting the next full moon. Jane notices the wolf in the window as Red was sending them to bed. Then all of a sudden the power goes out. Werewolf Reverend busts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and the bullet and gun are knocked out of Red's hand. Oh yeah. Bullet falls into the vent, with Red getting thrown across the room like a fucking rag doll. Marty gets the bullet, loads it up, and shoots him right in the other fucking eye. And the wolf is no more. And we get a pretty fucking awesome transformation back into the Reverend.
Yes.
Before one last jump scare. And then we get a little line from Marty there. I feel all right, all except for my legs. I don't think I can walk. And then that is the movie.
The end. Hit credits.
The end. End credits.
Let's go.
Oh
Black
my gosh.
screen, white credits, 80s to a T.
You go first.
The disbelief from everyone is like a very typical slasher right now, right up until the Sheriff Haller gets the shit beat out of him with what's left of the Peacemaker. That beating along with the transformation is hands down better than any CGI bullshit that we have to suffer through today. I think that scene blows 90% of fucking what we have to watch nowadays out of the water, especially
100%.
when the CGI leaves the theater. It becomes like instantly dated and just doesn't translate to our TV screens. Dude, the lead up to the ending fight scene builds up a great amount of tension. And I actually put this down too, Waterboy. I put the de-transformation is top notch. And I think for a brief moment when you see it, I'm more of a fan of the half man, half werewolf stage when he's dead than I am of the actual werewolf itself. Like I get it's not as scary, but I think I like that stage more. Like I think it looked better.
Well, and it's more like I don't know if you would say like believable of what you would perceive a werewolf to be like.
Yeah, instead of a giant wolf shaped like a human, it looks more 50-50 than anything.
Yeah.
And then like you said, dude, the whole line, my legs, I don't think I can walk. That joke is 1,000% something Marty would say. And it's a perfect way to break the tension.
So
the only thing I have to say about this movie though is I wish there was like 5 or 10 more minutes of just like showing the town finding out that it was the Reverend, or maybe them cleaning up the carnage. I don't know. I feel like it could have just used a little more.
It ended. It needed,
right
like,
after that boss battle.
It needed, like you said, like the last 3-minute shot of like just the town being happy again or something. It did end like I kind of thought there was going to be 2 more minutes, and it was just like boom, boss battle, the end.
Yeah, and not to mention, I mean, he's not a werewolf. They know that he was a werewolf, but he transformed back into a regular guy.
Yeah, so how do you prove it to the rest of the town?
Yeah, at the end of most movies, like you said, you'll have like cops like moving a body away, or you see like the town cleaning up. You'll see and the characters say their final goodbyes. It needed just one more scene.
Yep, that's honestly the only flaw that I really have with it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of practical. I'd choose this hands down over any CGI today because there's things that CGI can't do that just practical does so well.
Well, dude, if you think about it, this movie was what, 1985, and we just did Cursed, which is 2005. That's what, 20 plus years later.
Yeah,
and the CGI in that looks absolutely horrible compared to the practical effects from 1985.
100%.
Insane. What do you rate it? What's your rating? You didn't say your rating.
Oh no, that was just on the scenes. I figured we do closing thoughts after we talked about the scenes.
Yeah, I forgot about that. On the scenes, I just got too excited thinking about the ending. So
Justin on the scene.
I liked the scenes. Waterboy, what do you got? I honestly, I got so excited ahead of myself.
I'll piggyback off Justin. I also like the scenes. Pretty much all of them. Honestly, I did like the scenes. Except the ending scene. They should have added more scenes to that ending scene. Would have been a lot better to be seen.
For that scene, yeah.
They should have put in some scene kids into that scene. That would have been pretty cool.
What do you think the scene was like during the 80s?
I think honestly, it's.
Did you have like the hair scene, the bright clothing scene, the werewolf scene, the scene before the scene?
Yeah, it's I couldn't really. I wish I would have seen it more.
Oh my god! All right,
but yeah, you really had to be there to see it. All right, Justin. My closing thoughts is I've got this movie is one of the most cherished movies from when I was a kid. Is the acting and the dialogue the best? Probably not. But the overfeeling you get when wanting to just sit down and enjoy a werewolf movie, this one scratches all the right places. Milk, bones, and belly rubs all around, fellas. No fleas and vet visits for this movie. 8.6 out of 10.
Whoa! Damn!
Hey, I'm gonna go a little bit up there with you. I'm gonna say an 8.2. This first time seeing it, but this is a great freaking werewolf movie. It's definitely one of my top ones, and we didn't get to do one of my favorites. But this is definitely up there with it.
Wait, they have a hell wolf?
They do.
Or a were raiser?
It's were raiser. It's Stephen King's new movie.
It's were raiser in South America, right?
Clive Barker's were raiser.
Oh my god.
Where instead of solving a cube, you just undo your flea collar.
Will he escape?
I've got such treats to give you.
Oh my god.
All right, Justin.
All right, so my final thoughts on this movie was this was my first time watching it for some weird friggin' reason. I loved it a lot because I love the 80s movies because this also felt like very like fun, like just a relaxing movie you can just watch and have fun, but at the same time, like it actually had some like suspense to it. If I saw this when I was younger, I imagine this would actually be pretty scary if like you saw it when you were younger. Awesome cheesy acting. I love that stuff. I mean, it's kind of you can't take points away from that. It's the 80s. You kind of expect that. Overall, I loved it. I gave this a 7.9 out of 10, and this is definitely in my top 7 favorite werewolf movies of all time.
Now, Justin, before you get into your Halloween tie-in, I almost sent you what I thought would have been a Halloween tie-in to this movie instead of this movie to a Halloween movie. In the bar scene, when he flops out the baseball bat, it's called the Peacekeeper.
Yep.
Do you remember in Halloween Kills, the old man behind the bar has a baseball bat called the Peacekeeper? So I did a little bit of digging, and there is a YouTuber out there that has done, it's probably like 12 minutes worth of dialogue of a breakdown and a scene by scene between the bar and so in what is it, Tanker Falls or whatever the hell this place is called?
Yeah, Tucker Falls.
Tucker Falls, and them leading into like the town trying to go after justice and coming up with a plan to hunt what's killing them.
Mm-hmm.
And the sheriff's losing control. He did a side by side with those exact scenes from Halloween Kills.
Yep.
And whether it's an homage or not, I couldn't really find out if that's what it was, but it's almost shot for shot, scene for scene. Like it's nuts.
No, it reminded me of that. Like, I'm just so glad no one started chanting "Evil dies tonight" or "Werewolf dies tonight" or something in this movie because then I would have turned it off. But no, but yes, that's crazy you say that because when I saw that, it took me a second. I said, "Wait, where have I seen this before?" Like, because when you first introduces the bat and he says something, it took me a second. I was like, "Why do I feel like I've seen this scene before?" And then I thought, I'm like, "Oh wait, it is kind of like that movie."
I did that exact thing, dude. I've never paused this movie and been like, where the fuck is that from?
I was so confused.
Yeah, but after rewatching it, because I haven't rewatched this movie since those Halloweens came out.
Yeah.
And the second I seen the bat come out that said Peacekeeper, I was like, no fucking way.
So weird. That's cool that you mentioned that because I thought of that too. And it took me a second. I had to think. I'm like, wait, what movie is that from? And I was like, oh, wait, that was in Halloween. So should I just go right into my Halloween tie-in?
Absolutely.
All right, Halloween tie-in. the producer of this movie, probably not going to say this name right, Dino De Laurentiis, produced this movie, and he was also the executive producer to Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. So we got a direct tie-in there. And let's just, for shits and giggles, talk about this guy who does visual effects on this movie named Rick Baker. This guy must be like a werewolf specialty, because listen to some of the movies this guy has done special effects on in the span of this dude's career. So this guy did visual effects on this movie, visual effects on The Howling, American Werewolf in London, Werewolf the TV series, Beauty and the Beast, Wolf, Cursed, and The Wolfman. Like, what?
He loves werewolves almost as much
Oh
as
my
you.
gosh.
Right?
Jesus.
Like, I literally looked, I'm like, this dude, it was amazing. And then, never mind, on top of that, it was like every Planet of the Apes movie, Harry and the Hendersons. So anything that had like a weird werewolf or like a gorilla or a beast.
Just some kind of, yeah.
This guy was involved in. And the only other thing I got to say is the movie had a $7 million budget. It made a $12 million. It was a little slow. It took a little while to get going, but it eventually ended up making $12 million. And another thing I loved about this movie that we've touched like 18 times is the fact that we had a werewolf killing people with a baseball bat. I've seen a lot of werewolf movies, and never have I seen like a werewolf baseball player. That's all I thought. I love it.
Oh my god.
You know what else is wild now that you bring up like the werewolf killing people?
Yeah.
Every movie we've done, most of the werewolves kill to eat.
Yeah.
It almost feels like the underlying theme in this movie is he's not killing to eat. He's killing in his mind to save your soul from damnation.
Yeah, it was like a weird, like religious undertone to his
definitely.
killings. There was no feasting on the people.
Yeah, because there's no reason, like none of the bodies are eaten. They're all just destroyed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so weird. A different take.
And then I don't have this written down because I put my phone on airplane mode this time, so like we wouldn't get any feedback. And it cut off my fun facts, so I don't have any fun facts.
I have, I have one.
If I'm not mistaken, real quick, Waterboy, this movie was shot in the same town in North Carolina as some scenes from Halloween, from the David Gordon Green trilogy. Yeah,
No,
I have
I
to
did
look
not
into
know
that.
that.
yeah. I'd say I'd look it up, but like I said, I got my phone on airplane mode, so it cut me off on fun facts.
Oh man. I've got one that's pretty cool. I mean, it doesn't have anything to really do with like inside the movie, but the filming for this began in October of 1984, and they finished filming right before Christmas of the same year.
Jesus
So from
Christ.
October to December, that's how long it took to film this whole thing.
Busted it out.
So it took
Insane.
them a few months to give us this masterpiece, but Cursed took us 2 years to get that pile of trash.
Years and like 1,000 reshoots and recast, and
It's
And
crazy.
for some reason, like I like that movie, but it's so bad.
same. I think it's a guilt. It's like Curse is like a guilty
guilty
to a lot of
pleasure,
people.
yep.
It's so much fun. I love watching it, and I'll watch it again probably. But like you said, it actually, I mean, was it good? Probably not.
All right, Hack
man.
Stab Slash. I'd say this is the end of the episode, but we're going to announce our theme for next month. And I talked about this with Justin. I don't remember if we included Waterboy. He was probably out like getting Hellraiser tattoos or something. But we're gonna go with fall themed horror.
Yep.
So anything to do in the fall and or around October. So this eliminates like Jason and stuff.
Exactly. It's got to be fall
Related,
atmospheric.
adjacent. So no Black Christmas, no Krampus.
Yeah, aesthetically pleasing autumn vibes, one might say.
Yeah.
Some fall atmospheric horror, one might say.
Should it
Yeah,
go with
and,
trick or treating?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
man,
can do
yeah,
it.
wait.
That is an elite fall movie.
How many Fridays are there? In what do we got? 4 to pick or 5? I guess we can talk about this after.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's say bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
All
All right,
Bye. I'm Hacky. That's
Bye.
Stabby.
Just Justin.